Dean, thank you for calling in.
Hey, no problem. What's going on?
Hey.
Real quick. I think earlier in the show I was a little bit behind, and then I caught up. I was watching on YouTube. You said that faith was a belief in something that you couldn't know or didn't know. Is that correct?
I said that it was a belief in something that did not have evidence.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
And just to clarify, you may have come in when we were talking to Mark earlier, and the definition he was using, the one that I adhere to, as of today at least, is a belief that's held regardless of the evidence.
And so we're just trying.
Of the evidence. Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying
Gotcha.
to have terminology that we can talk to each other about and be able to come up with, distinctions and better be able to dive into it. So what do you have?
Yeah. So I think, and I guess speaking from the worldview of a Christian,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily ascribe to faith being a belief in something that you didn't know or a belief that you held regardless of the evidence. Because I think, if you're going to, talk to a Christian about the definition of faith, I think the source material to find that definition would be what you would have to reference. And so I guess, when you look at the Bible, specifically the New Testament,
mm-hmm.
when we look at the definition of faith, it's a term of
the evidence of things of hope for, and the
there's actually there's actually a word there that's used. It's
evidence of things not
called,
seen. There we go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a word called pistis, and what it means is a confident. It's a term of fidelity, and it means a confident trust in a reliable source, or maybe a better way to phrase it would be a willing commitment to a known truth or an informed intellect. And I think the example of that is best seen in John 10, where
actually, I would love to use that definition that you're using, Dean. So why do you think that the Bible is a true source of information?
Or to use your term, a reliable source.
Yeah, no,
or a reliable
I got
source.
you there, but let's focus on the definition of faith first, because before we can move into why I think the Bible's reliable.
Sorry, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm not trying to cut you off from your point, but I feel like most religious people would disagree with that definition. I feel like the Bible specifically disagrees with that definition, as in the quote that Eric's referring to.
Substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen.
Yeah, right. So what you're describing, I would define as just knowledge.
Well, I mean, I can't help that the definition of the Greek word faith matches your definition of knowledge.
Well, okay, so we're not talking about Greek because we're not speaking Greek, right? We're talking about the English common usage of the word faith.
I've seen a lot of people, especially atheists, who have dove into epistemology to try and make an absolutely senseless, useless point. So if you want to get into etymology, that's great. But if you want to say you can't use this word, or, we just need to agree on it. These are ideas that we're using, concepts that we're describing to be able to move forward. And we're willing to use your definition to talk about this, right?
No, yeah. And my point is that in order for either the Christian or the atheist to dialogue together,
mm-hmm.
as you said, they have to agree on the term, but my point is, if the word that's used for faith and the Bible
mm-hmm.
is different from whether or not that is different from what the atheist thinks, or even from well-meaning Christians, That's not the point. The point
Well,
is
you're talking
not,
past each other, yeah.
Yeah, the point is not necessarily what common Christians or how common Christians might use it. The point is, all right, what's the definition of the term that is most used in the New Testament text with regards to faith? And that word...
No.
And I'm not trying
Dean,
to...
no. I'm actually not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. And I'll tell you why.
So it seems to me that you're just arguing that the Bible is mistranslated.
Yeah. And Dean, the reason I'm not going to accept that is because you are reaching into the thing you're trying to prove is true to begin the conversation. Give me a definition.
I'm not reasoning in a circle. It's not reasoning in a circle.
Okay, I'm trying to prevent you from reasoning in a circle. So let's start outside of the Bible and agree on that definition.
But here's, see, and this is what's frustrating because I'm simply saying, all right, here's the definition that is, the word faith is one of the highest used words in the New Testament. And before we can even talk about how Christians view faith or how atheists view faith, we have to get to the definition of the term. And if the term isn't, my point is, if the term isn't a trust regardless of evidence, or if the term doesn't mean believing something without evidence, then it's a misapplication of the definition or the term that you're trying to apply to Christians or atheists.
So to be clear here, we're not having a discussion on what the word faith means within the context of the Bible. We're having a discussion on what the word faith means in common usage when we're talking with Christians. So you can go back and say, well, if you look at the Greek definition of this word, maybe a more appropriate word would be X. Well, then let's use word X to discuss this, right? The fact that the Bible may be mistranslated or may be imperfectly translated really doesn't factor into the conversation that we're having here, right? I think the average Christian would not agree with you, because the definition that you're using is the same as science would use for truth, right, or for knowledge. Having a belief in a trust in a reliable source that has been shown to be reliable,
justified true belief.
Yeah, exactly. That is worlds apart from the way that the term faith is generally used in this argument, not just by atheists, but by Christians as well. So I think you're kind of trying to swoop in and create a whole new definition that just serves to make the discussion less productive and make the term less useful.
And we'll still meet you there to talk about it,
dude. I'm trying to make the term less productive. I'm trying to make the term more productive.
Okay. Then can I ask you a question? Do you think that term ideas like faith, confidence, belief, and those things, trust, do you think those started in the Bible, or do you think those existed before the Bible?
No, I mean, I certainly think that those things, as far as faith, trust, confidence, all that stuff, I'm sure people had that, before the Bible was written. Cool. My point is this, is that it doesn't necessarily, and I'll actually cede a point to the atheist community here, is that I personally believe that the reason that we have this definition in the church culture of believing something without evidence is because there is not a lot or enough education regarding the term faith as it's used in Scripture.
Well, definitely not enough critical analysis.
Right, but we're not pulling quotes from the Bible, right? We're talking about when a Christian says, I have faith in God. Now, I'd like to read for you the definition and I just Googled define faith. Now, one is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. This is, the usage you would say when you say, I have faith in my wife, I have faith in my brakes, as we were discussing earlier. The other one is strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Now, that is the common usage of the term that we're discussing. Again, if you say that, the biblical term that the word faith is translated from in the original Greek or the original Hebrew, that's just a mistranslation. That has nothing to do with the actual day-to-day usage of the term faith in English.
I guess my question would be, so the common term that we're using between Christians and atheists, the common term then supersedes the text that Christians base their belief on.
No. Because we're not quoting the Bible,
and we're
right.
Also,
and the Christians that we're talking to aren't quoting from the Bible and reading the word faith in this biblical quote, right? Where they're talking about having faith by the common English definition. So I feel like the solution for what you're saying is that we set aside the word faith and then we just talk about. Knowledge would be a better word for the definition that you gave, and so we can talk about knowledge separate and apart from talking about faith. But that doesn't inform us in this discussion of faith.
But you said
so
that.
I guess.
But you said that you had I know we're jumping back and forth and right on you. I kind of wanted to lead the conversation back to you saying that you had a knowledge that the Bible is true. And then when I asked you about it, you started to go to a Bible verse, right? How can I look at the Bible and verify that it's a true thing to begin with before I start reaching to it to justify itself?
So real quick, I wasn't speaking to truth. I was speaking to the definition of faith. I was saying, hey, if you want the definition of faith from a Christian perspective,
are you the only Christian?
No,
in the world?
wait. No, so you are not giving us the definition of the word faith from a Christian perspective. You're giving us the definition of a Greek word from a Christian perspective. The definition of faith is still the same, right? And faith is an English word that is not in any way informed by this Greek word that you're talking about. Again, you're talking about a mistranslation in the Bible at best.
So Dean, I guess my question would be,
specifically,
why would you think
you're not all Christians?
Why would you think?
Right, you're not all Christians.
What?
If you say, I want to give this to you from a Christian perspective, if I could talk to every Christian and they could agree, fantastic. If not, I want to hear Dean's perspective. Dean, the Christian's perspective. That's fantastic. I'll take that.
Okay, so I don't know how else better to explain it, but even I guess my initial question, I don't know how else better to explain it other than if I, as a Christian, I'm just speaking from the Christian
from your
worldview,
perspective,
speaking to Christians for Christians, that if I want to properly use the term faith, then I have to look into what the text says.
You want to apply hermeneutics. Is that correct?
Understand that word. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the term that I want to use.
Right.
And
so, you do recognize that I can apply hermeneutics and come up with a completely different definition, right? We can do that together.
You could.
I could
look at the term.
Which is why I don't care, Dean. I just want to agree on the term so we can have the conversation.
I'm trying to help us agree on the term.
Okay.
But I can't.
Well,
my point is, Eric.
Go ahead.
My point is, Eric, that you could look into John or Romans chapter 1, where it talks about the righteous live by faith.
Right.
And I can look in that and say the righteous live by faith. And certainly you could come away from that term and look at that term, and you could say, all right, that means to believe in something without evidence. But you would be incorrect in doing that because the term itself, it has a definition to it.
Right, okay.
And so, yes, we can both have different views of that term, but you can't look at the definition of that term.
Well, I read the dictionary definition of the word faith here, and the idea, by the way the dictionary definitions are written is in such a way that you should be able to substitute the definition from the word, and it still makes sense. Now, to clarify, because you said you came a little late, we were not quoting the Bible and then plucking the word faith out and saying, in this biblical quote, the word faith should be interpreted as X. We're talking about common usage of the word faith when you're discussing things with Christians, right? We were not trying to parse a biblical phrase in so doing.
Right.
So you may be you may be correct that when we read the Bible and the word faith comes up, I know that there are a few different words that are translated where the word faith is substituted. So yes, absolutely. If we're doing textual criticism of the Bible, then absolutely we need to go to the Greek definitions. We need to go to all of these various things. But when we're talking about what it means when the average Christian says to have faith in something, right? They're not going to the Greek of the original in Romans, et cetera, and all of this. They're using the English definition of the word faith.
Okay. And my point is, and I ceded this point to you earlier, and my point is that there's a big possibility that the reason that is because there hasn't been a proper understanding and education within the Christian community about the definition and usage of that word. That's all I'm saying. Is that, and this is my basic point, and then I'll get off, and you guys can go to another caller. My point is that as atheists talk to Christians, and I hear it all the time. It's in Peter Boghossian's book. When we talk about faith, and we're saying that having faith is illogical or it's not rational. If you're going to knock down the term of having faith, then you have to knock it down on the basis of what the definition is.
Yes, the English definition, the definition of the English word, which is what I read to you.
Yeah, Dean, we're going in a circle.
But
Stop. Hold on. I'm pausing this. Hold on.
English definition.
Dean, just have the conversation. At the very beginning of this, I said I'd agree with your definition if we could have the conversation. And all this has been is trying to score a point where there needs none to be scored. Let's move on to the conversation. Cool. Let's move on to the conversation then. Can we do that?
Okay.
Right? You talked about Hebrews. And I honestly, I
was actually in John.
John and Romans.
John and Romans. There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Right? Can I pick a verse to start? Let's go with Psalm 137:9.
John, and then I'll let you go to your next verse. How about that?
Okay, so let's see
I
what
don't
your point
see
is.
how this is relevant to the conversation that we were having. Again, we're not arguing in Greek.
Okay,
but we're meeting his definition unless he's still trying to make the same point. What would you like to say? Right, the question originally was, how do you believe that the Bible is true? Why do you accept that the Bible has truth or is a good reference point for truth?
The original point was, and still is that, and you might disagree with that, and we can just agree to disagree and move on. The original point is that the issue of faith and knocking down the term faith, or that faith is irrational, has nothing to do with how people commonly use it. If you're going to knock down that term, you have to knock it down on the basis of how.
No, you're just incorrect on how logic works, man. This is, I've already refuted this point, and you've just kind of said it again and again. That is not how. No. That is not how a debate works. That is not how a discussion works.
Hermeneutics and principles. That's all that is.
You and I just agree that I can use hermeneutics to come out with a completely different result, which is why hermeneutics is not used in that way anywhere else except for in the Bible.
I'm just going to go ahead.
Dean, you gave me
disagree.
Sure, you gave me a definition, and I said let's use it. You said that definition was. Go ahead.
Okay. The definition that is used in as far as the word faith, it's a term of fidelity. It's a confident belief in a reliable source.
Okay, do you believe?
Or it is a willing commitment to truth. It is a commitment to an informed intellect. And the example that I was trying to pull out.
So you're going to pull an example out of the Bible, right? And so according to that definition, you're inferring that the Bible is an informed intellect, is truth, and what's the first one?
Well, I've kind of given up on keeping track of this.
No worries, Dean. So you're already throwing in that the Bible is true, right? According to your piece on faith, you're saying you have faith in the Bible, and you're going to show us why you have faith in the Bible. So please.
Well, I think honestly, Dean's entire point was this definitional
that was
hocus
it?
pocus that he's
No, it is. That is my point. My point is
so your entire
the
point is that when we
Bible.
discuss the word faith, we're not allowed to use the English definition. We have to use the definition of a Greek word that is occasionally translated to faith in the Bible. That's nonsense, bro.
But actually, even more so, because we can't do it without it. Because if I come up with, if I use the same tools that he's using,
you can't. You're not allowed to do that. But he is.
If I come up with something different, that means that I probably did it wrong. I got to ask him. Right.
Yeah, that's just a nonsensical.
It's not about, guys. It's not about asking me. It's
cool.
It's about
ask me what my definition of faith is.
Look, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the bottom line here, Dean. If you put your definition on the left side and you ask somebody, okay, Dean, it's the definition that you're using, goddammit. It's your definition for the purposes of this call. If we put your definition on the right side of the page and we ask somebody what word does this define, no one who speaks English would come up with the word faith.
Yeah. Yelling is not going to solve the issue that you have here.
No, it is going to solve the issue that I have here, because the issue that I have here is that you're not fucking listening to me.
I am listening to you. I'm
my
simply
goodness.
disagreeing with you. It's not my problem.
Seeing it live.
because you don't know what the definition is.
I don't. I just read you the goddamn definition out of a fucking dictionary, Dean. Come on,
so
man.
So you say it's not my definition. I gave you a definition. You disagreed with it. Do you understand that you have said two things? Like, what does that even mean? We're just trying to meet you very, very simply, man. But maybe listen back.
I'm meet you guys too. I'm
listen back
saying,
and give a call back. Maybe.
I will.
Awesome.
I will.
appreciate it.
And if there's a time where either one of you guys want to just meet and talk on like a Skype call or something like that, I'd be more than happy to do that too. Maybe
I've had so much fun talking to you, Dean. I'd love to do that sometime.
Honestly, Dean, if you
I got to be honest with you, Dean. You haven't really shown yourself to be like intellectually honest in your discussion here. But and that's why I wouldn't want to carry on the conversation.
I would, because I want to give you those tools. And I think that if we sat down over a beer, I think I'm going to be in North Carolina this year for a convention. Well, come on down.
Eric,
I'll announce it.
When are you going to be in North Carolina?
Is it ReasonCon in Hickory?
I don't think they're doing ReasonCon this year.
Oh, well, fuck me.
Yeah, it's a great one, too. That's a shame.
Well, I will let you know. I'll announce it. But Dean, take care. Listen back to this conversation, right? What I saw you holding on to something, and instead of interacting with us, you were waiting to bring it back to the thing that you'd already decided. And that's not how an open dialogue works. Because if you were listening earlier, I changed my view on something. That's something fantastic. Because you should be open to learning new things, learning more things, and being better able to navigate the world that you're in. But you take care, and we'll talk at you later.
Hey, no problem. Later, guys.
All right, peace.
Take care, Dean.